So I want you to just picture the scene for a second. It's a Hollywood Christmas party.
Right, the kind of party you only see in movies. All glamour.
Exactly. We're talking A-listers mingling Jane Fonda, comedy giants, legendary directors. It's at Conan O'Brien's home. The absolute pinnacle of, holiday sparkle.
But then right in the middle of all that polished perfection, something just shifts. You get this flicker of darkness.
Yeah, a deeply, deeply awkward family horror show basically unfolding in front of everyone.
And that contrast, the collision between that Hollywood glamour and this really devastating domestic crisis, that's the whole heartbreaking core of this story.
Welcome to StarScope Report.
Here, we don't just skim the headlines.
No, we dive deep into the biggest Hollywood dramas, the music industry shakeups, and all the viral scandals that, really define our culture.
And today, we're exploring a truly devastating family tragedy. The brutal murders of director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele Singer Reiner.
Allegedly by their 32-year-old son, Nick.
And the whole story really hangs on this chilling timeline.
It does. It's all about how these tense, really awkward moments at a star-studded party became the final public prelude to a horrific double homicide.
And what kind of, decades-long volatility in the Reiner family just set the stage for all of it. We've got sources from the Wall Street Journal to People magazine that paint a really, really grim picture.
So if you're intrigued by how these private secrets can just shatter that perfect Hollywood facade, you are going to want to make sure you're subscribed right now.
You won't want to miss any of how this unfolds.
Okay, so let's unpack that bizarre night at Conan O'Brien's house.
Because that's really where the final act of this tragedy begins.
It is. Rob and Michele brought their son, Nick, who was living in their guest house, to this party. But, and this is important, sources stress this wasn't just a casual family outing.
No, not at all. They brought him along almost as a preventative measure. They were apparently really reluctant to leave him home alone.
They were scared to leave him alone. His behavior had been escalating, becoming more and more unstable in the weeks leading up to it.
So you have these incredibly famous, successful parents, and they're moving through this high-profile party with just this layer of intense anxiety about their own son.
And the visual contrast, it's just so stark. Most of the guests are in formal wear, celebrating the holidays.
And then there's Nick Reiner.
Standing out immediately, he's wearing a hoodie and jeans, looking totally out of place, and reportedly making everyone there intensely uncomfortable.
Yeah, People magazine sources said he was, quote, freaking everyone out. And crucially, he kept asking people if they were famous.
That one specific detail, that obsession with fame, is what leads directly to the confrontation that, everyone remembers from that night.
The one with Bill Hader.
The one with Bill Hader. Nick interrupts him while he's in a private conversation, and he doesn't just, tap him on the shoulder. He zeroes in on him.
And starts asking these really strange, almost aggressive questions.
What's your name? What's your last name? Are you famous?
Just bizarre.
And here's where it gets really unsettling. Bill Hader, who's known for being so calm and quick-witted, he just tries to de-escalate. He tells Nick he's in the middle of a private talk.
And Nick's reaction, it's not normal.
No. Instead of just apologizing or walking away, NBC News reported he just stood there.
Frozen.
Frozen. Just staring at Hader before turning and storming off.
That inability to kind of read the room, that completely outsized reaction, it just screamed instability.
And it immediately led to a very loud argument between Nick and his parents right there at the party.
In front of everyone.
In front of everyone, which forced Rob and Michele to just cut the night short. They left abruptly, and that set the stage for the horrifying events that happened just a few hours later.
And you have to think about the impact on Hader. Reports said he was seen later, pacing outside his home, on the phone, looking visibly shaken.
Oh, completely. Imagine that. You're one of the biggest comedians in the world, and you're totally unnerved by this strange, tense interaction at a Christmas party.
And you have no idea it was the last time anyone would see the Reiners alive.
The private struggle just completely bled into the public sphere. They leave the party in total chaos, and then the next day, the true magnitude of the tragedy is revealed. That next terrible discovery was made Sunday afternoon. Rob Reiner, 78, and Michele Singer Reiner, 70, were found dead at their Brentwood home. It was around 3:30 p.m.
And the person who found them, this is just heartbreaking to even read about.
It's their daughter, Romy Reiner.
Yeah. Can you imagine that moment? Sources told TMZ she immediately suspected her brother. She told police a dangerous relative should be their main suspect.
She knew right away. The details from the medical examiner's office just confirmed the sheer brutality of it all.
Homicide. Cause of death for both was multiple sharp force injuries.
And CBS News confirmed the most shocking detail. Both Rob and Michele had had their throats slit.
With other stab wounds, too. The scene, from what sources described, suggested it was just absolute rage. The work of a madman.
The investigation moved really fast after that. They figured out the killings likely happened in the early hours of Sunday, so not long after they got back from that party.
And they had Nick on CCTV footage. First, just before midnight on Saturday at a gas station, and then again later on Sunday buying a drink, not long before they arrested him.
He was finally caught later that Sunday night near the USC campus.
But here's a key piece of the investigation. The police found a hotel room that Nick was known to use.
And inside,
a significant amount of blood. They think he probably went there after the attack, maybe to clean up or change his clothes.
The legal consequences are, well, they're immense. He's been formally charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
With the special allegation of using a deadly weapon, a knife.
And that allegation, committing multiple murders, that's what puts him in the most serious legal territory you can be in California.
Life without parole. Or, potentially, the death penalty.
When he finally appeared in court, the image was pretty striking.
Yeah, he was shackled. He was wearing a blue suicide prevention vest. It just underscored that this whole thing is a criminal case. It's just deeply tangled up with a severe mental health crisis.
Right. His arraignment's been postponed, so the legal process is just getting started. It's hard to even wrap your head around the horror the Reiners faced in those final hours.
And to really understand the depth of this tragedy, you have to look beyond just the crime scene. This was a struggle that was years, if not decades, in the making.
This is where the story shifts. It's not just a high-profile murder anymore. It becomes this deep dive into the paradox of having immense wealth but also dealing with this deep-seated addiction.
Exactly. Nick's volatility wasn't new. The source material is very clear. He had a long history of substance abuse. It started when he was just a teenager.
And here's the number that just illustrates the sheer desperation of his parents. By 2016, Nick had cycled through approximately 17 different rehab programs.
17, that number is just staggering.
Staggering. Think about it. They had every resource, every connection imaginable. So what does that number tell you? Does it say something about Nick's refusal to get help, or maybe a failure in the treatment system itself?
Sources suggest it was a combination, but mostly centered on Nick's resistance. His addictions involved heroin, cocaine, prescription drugs, and he even chose to be homeless at times.
In Texas, Maine, New Jersey.
Because he refused to stick with the strict long-term programs his parents had set up and were paying for.
He was even open about the chaos. Back in 2018, he admitted on a podcast to this violent, meth-fueled episode where he just completely destroyed the guest house he was living in, punched out a TV, caused huge damage.
So this wasn't some quiet struggle. This was, as you said, an engine of destruction running in plain sight.
And Rob and Michele, they desperately tried everything. Therapy, interventions.
Including one of those unique interventions I've ever heard of. The 2015 film, Being Charlie.
Right, a semi-autobiographical movie. They actually collaborated on the script, turning Nick's own time in rehab into a film, hoping the creative process might actually be healing.
Rob Reiner even said making it made me understand him a lot more and made me a better father.
But that's the tragedy, isn't it? Even that level of deep, creative, therapeutic effort, it wasn't enough.
And sources say the Reiners carried an enormous guilt over it, that they couldn't stabilize him, despite having all the money and access in the world.
That feeling of failure, that realization that love and money just can't solve every crisis, I mean, it must have been unbearable.
Yeah. And the industry reaction after the murders just shows you what a giant figure Rob Reiner was in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely. His legacy is massive. From groundbreaking TV like All in the Family to directing classics like The Princess Bride and A Few Good Men.
The tributes came from everywhere. Billy Crystal, Larry David, Albert Brooks, Martin Short, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It wasn't just for a director, it was for a cultural icon.
And his When Harry Met Sally co-star, Meg Ryan, she said something really powerful. She called it an impossible tragedy and praised the Reiners for their belief in true love, in fairy tales, and in laughter.
A passionate, brave citizen. That's what his close circle called him.
And that passion brings us to the political spectacle that followed. Because Rob Reiner wasn't just a beloved director.
No, he was one of Hollywood's most visible, vocal, and often aggressive Democratic activists, a huge critic of Donald Trump.
He once called him mentally unfit for office.
So, of course, Reiner's fame and his politics immediately turned this private trauma into a brutal public spectacle.
Almost instantly.
Yeah.
Shortly after the news broke, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social.
And it wasn't condolences. He blamed the deaths on what he called Trump derangement syndrome.
He claimed Reiner's raging obsession with him drove people crazy. It was just a shocking politicization of a family tragedy.
And what's really fascinating here is the bipartisan backlash he got for it. You rarely see that kind of unity.
Right. You had Republican Representatives Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene both publicly condemning the comments,
Making it crystal clear that this was a family tragedy, not about politics or political enemies.
So the Reiner family's private, decades-long battle became this cruel public sideshow in the end. It's just a stark illustration of the limits of intervention, no matter how wealthy you are.
And sadly, the speed at which some people will weaponize profound personal loss.
As this whole thing now moves into the courts, there is one final legal piece that's really critical to the Reiner family's financial legacy.
We're talking about the Slayer statute in California.
Exactly. It's a law that's designed specifically to prevent a killer from inheriting any wealth or property from the person they killed.
And given the massive estate Rob Reiner built from his films, this statute basically means that even if Nick is convicted, the Reiner's legal influence might stop him from profiting from the tragedy.
He can't use the millions generated by films like The Princess Bride or A Few Good Men to fund his defense or his future.
It's a powerful final chapter to a horrible story.
A kind of legal firewall against the ultimate betrayal.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.